Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the fourth session of our Math Summit third edition, hosted by S. Chan Publishing. My name is Preeti Kashyap, and I'm honored to be your host for this session. We are so happy to have you with us as we continue to explore new perspectives and innovative practices in math education. Before we dive in, I'd like to thank you all for your active participation so far. It's great to see such a dedicated group of educators and professionals gather here together. I'm pleased to introduce our esteemed speaker for the session, Ms. Divyanshi Dhawan. Ms. Divyanshi is the founder and director of Beyond Chalk and Talk, with an MSc in mathematics from University of Lucknow and currently pursuing a PhD in math education from IIT Jodhpur. She has made a significant impact on over 1,000 teachers and 3,000 students in the field of creative mathematics. Ms. Dhawan is the pioneer of the Mathematics in Motion program, which uniquely blends yoga and mathematics to make learning more dynamic and engaging. Her innovative contribution to education have been recognized globally, and her photograph was featured on International Day of Mathematics 2022, standing out among 3,200 submissions from 90 countries. She regularly shares her expertise on platforms like Abhav, Foundation, and Geti, and her inspiring journey has featured in the Her Maths Story journal in 2023. So in this session, we'll focus on the crucial aspects of assessment and feedback in mathematics, and I'm sure we are all eager to learn from Ms. Divyanshi's extensive knowledge and experience. We have 2 exciting days filled with incredible learning opportunities, valuable insights, and a chance to win big. Tomorrow, we'll have a quiz, and the top participants will walk away with amazing Amazon vouchers worth rupees 50,000. Before we start, here are a few housekeeping rules. Participants will remain muted throughout the session. Please keep a notebook and a pen handy to jot down important points. The chat box will be enabled during the Q&A session or as and when required by the speaker. Remember to complete the feedback form sent to your email after the session to receive your e-certificates. Don't forget to participate in tomorrow's quiz after the final session for a chance to win Amazon vouchers worth rupees 15,000. So now, without any further ado, let's dive into the topic. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Divyanshi Dhawan. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Preeti, for such a warm welcome. And thank you to all the participants who have joined. I can see there are 178 participants who have joined this meeting, and it's just 4. So I'm expecting that there will be more people who will be joining. I'm here to share my experiences with you and to learn from you as well, extensively on assessment and feedback in mathematics, which is my topic. So before any further delay, I would just like to share my screen. This is going to be an interactive session. I do not want that I'm just speaking and you are grasping all the information. I want this session to be interactive. So in between, you will see few of the videos, you will see poll and everything. And I request all of you to please be responsive to those polls, and chat box is open as ma'am mentioned. As and when I will request Miss Preeti, she will enable the chat box, and please feel free to ask as many questions as possible. So I would just get started with my PPT. These are the following topics that I am going to delve deep into. I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to tell the gist of this. Since my topic is assessment and feedback in mathematics, I wanted to talk a little bit about pedagogy for mathematics as well. And then I will be stepping into the assessments in mathematics, which is by chance my PhD topic as well. And then I will be moving into sample assessment feedback, and I will be showing you one of the rubrics. I haven't created that rubrics, but I found that very useful. So I'll be sharing that rubrics for assessment as well. Here is a disclaimer, though this is a mathematics summit, but since my topic is assessment, so it is not a possibility that whatever I am presenting to you is going to just focus on mathematics. So the rubrics that I'm going to present or the sample assessment that I will be presenting is open for all the subjects. So you can just modify it a little bit and you can use it for your subject. So first of all, let's talk about why mathematics education. What is the role of mathematics education? That's very basic, and we know, everyone knows that math is used in day-to-day life. And with AI, machine learning, data science, infrastructure development, mathematics is becoming the core of education. And that's why interdisciplinary field has also emerged and is slowly and gradually emerging as well, which is mathematics education, wherein we are talking about the pedagogy of mathematics, how you can make mathematics in your classroom lively. So there are ample, I have just presented few of the topics here wherein math is used, but I always say that math is omnipresent. So moving further, I would just like to show you a video, and I hope that you will enjoy this 2-minute video as much as I did. Please let me know, Preeti ma'am, if my screen is visible and it's audible. Numbers have been getting a lot of flack. I hope it's audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Perfect. Over the course of this program, so I would like to make the case in a presentation that numbers are better than letters. So I've got a number of reasons. The first is numbers do more with less. There are 9 numbers, 9 base numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You might have heard of them. On the other hand, there are 26 letters. So that means there's 288% more letters than base numbers. And what are they doing with it? Well, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, there are 171,146 words currently in use in the English language. And how many numbers are there? I don't know, infinity. For those thinking that maybe there's 10 base numbers and that 0 is a number, 0 is not a number. 0 is a concept that basically just means nothing. It means there's no numbers. That's a concept that letters don't have. There's no letter for no letters. You know what I mean? To communicate no letters, you need way more of them. You need like no letters at all, not even these ones. Ignore these ones. 0 is doing all that just in one thing. Numbers are modern. When you're in love with someone in the olden days, you sent them a letter. Nowadays, you ask for their number. Numbers have gravitas. If you count numbers backwards, 10, 9, 8, it means something huge is happening, like a rocket's about to be launched. If you say the alphabet backwards, it means you've been accused of drink driving in the United States. Numbers don't have this hierarchical thing where the first one is like bigger than the rest. Like you would never see this. Numbers don't do this. Numbers are even. They're egalitarian. They're Australian. No one likes numbers more than letters themselves. Letters are obsessed with numbers, and you see this when numbers are used in places. So like first, for example, the ST, they finally get a chance to be next to a number, and you can tell they're excited. You can tell they're shy because they get all small. There's bias against numbers. You can put letters up on a screen and no one cares, but you put numbers up and everyone freaks out. Like no one cares about these letters, but you put the numbers up and everyone's like all angry about it. When societies challenge numbers, it does not end well. The Romans famously tried to change numbers into letters, and look what happened to them. They stopped existing more than M years ago. Numbers win even on letters terms. The famous game Scrabble. This is the most word game there is. Even by the scoring in that game, letters is beaten by numbers easily. Numbers are better than letters. Numbers have been getting a lot of flack over the course. Okay, so why I wanted to show this video, you can see in this video that how he has presented real life examples like use of credit card. You can see there is a lot of math that go into credit and debit cards. He showed a very famous game, Scrabble, which involves problem solving, decision making, communication, vocabulary, all these kinds of skills. So this slide was focused on specific aims of mathematics education. So as per NEP 2020, the aims of mathematics education should be basic numeracy, mathematical thinking, problem solving, mathematical intuition. Intuition is something which is really very important in our real life as well, be it decision making skills, be it any kind of soft skills. They are really very important in our day to day life, and these are all they all come under the mathematical umbrella. And then obviously joy, curiosity, and wonder, because of which NEP came into existence, NCF came into existence, because mathematics education was going mundane. So they wanted to bring back joy, curiosity, and wonder. Now, if I talk further about the specific aims, these are the major units or branches or content areas: arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and all of these. Again, the whole idea to teach these concepts is to develop capacities of logical thinking, patterns making, refuting. All these kinds of skills can only and only be developed using these content areas, which are really very important. So whenever we are teaching these specific areas into our classroom, we need to ask ourselves, are we delving deep into the concept only so as a student can secure marks, or we are delving deep into the concepts to build his logical thinking, mathematical thinking, intuitive abilities? That is the question. I think if we'll keep on asking ourselves, it will be a great idea that we are going to head in a right domain. Now, if I talk about pedagogy for mathematics, I would suggest, and I have one example for you as well. What generally happens is, and we have also studied this way only. Chapter number 1, exercise 1.1, the teachers start writing. Though that is not the case at this point of time. We are living in 2024 now, and things have changed. Pedagogy has changed, not only for mathematics, in general. So, I wanted to present 4 steps in front of you. First is concrete experiences. Has the child understood what we are going to do? So, for concrete experiences, you can give him something like Lego blocks, like Jenga blocks. These are the things I'm telling you in my subject that I follow. You can decide for your subject and then you can take it forward. Then, language. Students face a lot of difficulty in interpretation. They are not able to interpret the question, what is written. And if they are not able to interpret the question, it won't be a possibility for them to solve it. So language, step 1, concrete experiences. Then we should move on to language. Third is pictographical representation. If we can represent it pictographically, diagrammatically, visually, anything, and then we should move on to symbols. When I say symbols, I mean equation format here. What you have exactly done or what you are going to do in this particular question. So this should be the pedagogy for mathematics. I have considered a very basic concept of addition over here, and I wanted to present. Let's say there are 2 children. For concrete experiences, I gave them random blocks. There are 3 blocks with girls and girl and 3 blocks with the boy. Now, in the form of language, I am writing how many total blocks are there with both the students. If the students are small, I can break the sentences. I can ask how many blocks are there with the girl, how many blocks are there with the boy, and then I can ask them combined. Moving on, there is a visual representation wherein I'm asking them to build the tower, because I think this is a very common thing that children, when they as they grow up, they start playing with the blocks. So visual representation wherein they are putting the blocks and counting the total. And then the symbolic representation comes into picture, which is 3 plus 3, which is 6. So what we generally do, we write addition and we directly write the question and we jump to 3 plus 3 is 6. What is happening over there? The whole idea of addition is getting missed. Here, they are able to understand what actually is happening and we are moving step by step. So, that is the pedagogy that I follow, and I would suggest, I would recommend if you can follow this pedagogy, because this is really very helpful. Then, as I said, it's going to be an interactive poll. May I please request all of you to scan this code and answer one quick question. It's just a yes, no, or may, not sure question. If you can just please scan this code and answer it. I hope all of you have answered. It's taking a little longer to reach. Yeah, I can see 27 people have already answered. I'm just opening the screen and I'll show you the responses. It's loading. So 10% have said yes, and 90% people have said no. Okay, so I have got a really amazing participants, I would say. So yes, measurement, evaluation, and assessment are not same. So I have received in total, I guess, 30 responses, out of which 27 have said no, and 10% have said yes. So I wanted to explain a very simple definition to all of you. I have given all the resources as well from where I have taken the references. That's there in the end. So just wanted to present, Preeti, if you can just confirm my screen is visible, right? I'm back on the slides.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So, as you all know, that measurement, assessment, and evaluation are not same. So, what is the difference between them? First thing is measurement. So whenever we are assigning marks to a children, to a student, it's always measurement. We are measuring their numerical ability, and we are assigning them the marks. That is measurement. Now if we are giving them marks along with meaning to the marks, that is assessment. And if we are giving meaning to the marks plus value judgment, that is evaluation. So evaluation comes in the end. Like, let's say if I give you an example of evaluation, it can be um, the child is promoted. So you evaluated, let's say there is a grade 4 child, you evaluated the entire performance throughout the year, half yearlies, quarterlies, annual, or EOT1, EOT2, and then you came to a conclusion that this child is going to be promoted. So that is evaluation. Assessment is when you are giving the marks, but you are giving meaning to the marks as well, which means you are giving an elaborated feedback. When I'm saying meaning to the marks, I do not mean very good, excellent, but meaning to the marks, how they can improve themselves, because there is always a room for improvement. So what is the better thing that they can do? Moving further, if I talk about assessment, what is assessment, which is my topic? So, assessment is assigning meaning to the marks, which I told you earlier as well. And it is both reflected as well as reflective process. When I say reflected, we all know now, we all must have read NEP 2020, NCF 2023 as well, or may have heard these very common terms that teaching learning process, we are talking about teaching learning process. So it's both reflected as well as reflective. The teacher is able to modify their lesson plans, and the student is able to get the feedback from the teacher and is able to improve themselves. As of now, major focus is on product assessment. When I say product assessment, what I mean, which is taken at the end of the chapter, only the product of teaching learning process is assessed. Whatever lesson plan you prepared, you taught it to your students, and they wrote the answers of whatever test paper you gave them. So sometimes what happens is there is a testament of rote memorization because we completely overlook the process. And what happens is many the times students learn a lot not in the product but in the process. So what is more important is to focus on process assessment. When I say process assessment, I'll just show you a quick video. That's a 30-second video, I guess, integrated with teaching learning process. Now, if I talk about the use of process assessment, NEP is talking about holistic development. So when I say holistic development in product assessment, what is happening? They are talking about cognitive. That's why I have written tests, rote memorization skills, because we are not giving them anything unique. But if we are focusing on process assessment, we can give them psychomotor as well as affective section as well, wherein they can focus, we can focus on holistic development of the child, and the child will not fear or will not have the anxiety of those exams or tests, and they will be able to answer those questions because they know they are from the process. They are not the textbookish question, they are the real life question. So again, you will see that assessment and pedagogy will always go hand in hand. That's why I just wanted a brief backdrop of to give a brief background of pedagogy, and then I shifted to assessment. So I'm just going to play a very nice video explaining why process is important.
What really works for you? Process is more important than the result. The result is a byproduct of the process. But in today's world, we are so much focused about the result that we get away from the process. So take care of the process, take care of all the small things, and eventually you'll get the desired result.
So this man needs no introduction, obviously. But I really like the way he mentioned process is more important than the result. We all, and as students also, we are, whenever we are sitting in any exam, we are focused on we should score rank 1, we should score rank 2, we should score 90%. But have we ever thought that what we are going to learn today? That is the process. That may be sounding like a Tare Zameen Par Amir Khan, but I don't want it to sound like that. It's just that it came in my mind, and I wanted to present this video to all of you that process is really very important, and this is the purpose of assessment. When we are saying teaching learning process, it's not that you are preparing your lesson plans creatively and presenting it to the students. Rather, there should be a case wherein you are testing them throughout the chapter. What they are learning might be a possibility they are learning something very different. We are teaching them, they are learning the same concept, but might be a possibility they will come up with very nice idea of maybe teaching that topic or how they are learning that topic.
What really works?
Now, as we all know, that when we talk about assessment, it's assessment of learning, for learning, and as learning. So, if I wanted to differentiate between these three things, I have tried to represent it graphically. Now, first, I would like to start with assessment as learning. Though the primary purpose of assessment is for learning, which is again a teaching learning process. Now, when I say assessment as learning, in our time at least, we used to say to our mother, we are going for group studies. I'm not going to delve deep into whether it was a group study case or not, but we used to do group studies. Today, the same thing is coming back. When I say assessment as learning, it's a group study, peer learning जिसको अब हम लोग बोलते हैं. So peer learning में ये बहुत ही पुराना एक कहावत चलती चली आ रही है कि बच्चे एक दूसरे को देख के सीखते हैं. कभी कभी जो एक गलती करता है वो दूसरी भी गलती कर देता है, we understand that, but when we are talking about education, so if a child is learning something, the other, if anyone is not able to figure out, he will, might be a possibility, he'll just look at the side eye what the other person is doing, because there is a hitch कि वो उनका काम नहीं कॉपी करना चाहते हैं, बिकॉज दैट इज अ वेरी कॉमन थिंग जो हम लोगों में एक इनबिल्ट कर दी गई है कि आपको अपना काम करना है. बट असेसमेंट एज लर्निंग always work. Whenever I go for teacher training programs, whenever I take trainings in these schools, I always group students. When I'm taking training with the teachers, I group the teachers in that form also. And specifically talking about students, जब भी मैं बच्चों के साथ कोई एक्टिविटी कराती हूँ, आई ऑलवेज आस्क द टीचर, मैम आप मुझे थोड़ा सा ये आइडिया दे दीजिए कि कौन से बच्चे एकदम स्मार्ट हैं, विच आर वेरी क्विक, बिकॉज that's a bifurcation that always happen in all the classes. So जो बच्चे बहुत smart हैं, always try to club them with a little weaker students, so that weak students can learn with them, because it's completely hands on. तो वहां पे कोई भी cheating या copy का सीन नहीं होता है, सिंस इट्स अ हैंड्स ऑन एक्टिविटी जहां पे उनके पास लेगो ब्लॉक होंगे, ऊनो कार्ड होंगे, वो कुछ बना रहे होंगे, आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट होगा. सो दैट इज अ वेरी गुड थिंग दैट आई हैव ऑलवेज ऑब्जर्व, एंड इट ऑलवेज वर्क एज वेल, कि आप अगर एक वीक बच्चे को एक स्ट्रॉन्ग बच्चे के साथ बिठा देते हो, तो बच्चा एक तो उसके अंदर लीडरशिप स्किल्स आती हैं, दैट यस आई हैव टू हेल्प माय क्लासमेट. एंड द सेकेंड थिंग इज, जो वीक बच्चा है उसको समझने में आसानी हो जाती है, बिकॉज बच्चे अपने फ्रेंड्स से पूछ लेते हैं, टीचर से पूछने में उनको थोड़ी हिच होती है. देन वी टॉक अबाउट असेसमेंट ऑफ लर्निंग, विच इज वेरी बेसिक. हमने कोई टेस्ट लिया, हम उसका असेसमेंट लेते हैं. अभी हम लोग कॉग्निटिव पे ज्यादा फोकस कर रहे हैं, बट वी शुड फोकस ऑन होलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट. एज आई सेड, this should be process assessment of learning, not the product assessment of learning. Because if we are saying product assessment of learning, we are, I would say, diluting the way we are talking about assessment. So it would be a better idea if we will say process assessment of learning. Then again, assessment for learning, same thing. I have tried to make two figures out here. One is acting as a teacher, one is acting as a student, and there is no hierarchy. Obviously, when it comes to discipline, there will be a hierarchy. But when it comes to learning, there is no hierarchy. Student and teachers both are in win-win condition. They are helping each other grow. Because when the student will ask the questions, only then the teacher can modify their lesson plan. It won't be possible at all if the student is not asking the question, they won't be able to modify the lesson plan. So these are three types of assessment. Again, the main purpose of assessment is for learning. Now, what are the types of assessment? I myself have found initially, obviously, so much difficulty in understanding types and forms of assessment. So I thought that I will present it to you. Might be a possibility few of you are struggling with this, because whenever I used to study on assessment back, I would say 3 or 4 years back, I would always get confused about what is portfolio assessment. Is it a type or is it a form? What is diagnosis assessment? Different kinds of assessment. So I'll just try to break it into chunks for you. When we say types of assessment, we all know very common, there are two types of assessment, which is formative, other is summative. In formative, we know it's continuous and ongoing. This is assessment for learning, and generally they are low stakes. When I say low stakes, there is no competition as such in this particular assessment. उसको 90 मिला, मुझे 100 मिला, बच्चे आपस में बात करते हैं, but there is no benchmark. When there is no benchmark, we always say that it is low stake. Formative assessment का result आप board exams की तरह नहीं देखते हो, which is high stakes. So, and when we talk about summative, it evaluates the learning at the end of the session or lesson, like EOT. Again, assessment, it can be assessment of learning or for learning. And then they are higher stakes. So you can see I've tried to represent it graphically, and I have put a picture in between, which is assessment for learning, which you can see here, assessment for learning. This is common in both formative as well as summative. That's why you are preparing the lesson plans, you are helping them achieve the learning outcomes. So this is assessment for learning. So types of assessment, formative as well as summative. Now, when we talk about forms of assessment, there are four major forms of assessment, and then there are subtypes to it. Now, when I say different forms or type of assessment, you can see written test, practical test, oral test, and open book test. The one test that I want to focus on is open book test. I think it's high time wherein we should start using open book test. Initially, at our times, it was the case wherein we used to get reading comprehension, and then slowly and gradually we have to answer the questions after reading the comprehension. What was there in the comprehension, we have to read the comprehension very carefully and then write the answers. That is, I would say, very minute part of open book test. But again, if you go back to that test, what happens is they always test our ability if we are able to process the information or not. Whatever is provided to us, if we are able to process the information. If I have to give you example, since I love cooking, if I have to give you example of open book test, let's say I have given you 5 vegetables, I have given you all the masalas and everything, and I'm asking you whatever you want to cook, you can. Now it's my creativity that what I am going to do out of those things. So if no one has given me the vegetables or no one has given me the masala, how I'm going to show them my creativity? That's not possible. Agar aapne bas mujhe आलू दे दिया and प्याज दे दिया, so that's not possible for me that I can make, though I can, but उसमें creativity restrict हो जाती है. If you are giving me multiple things, which is open book, आपने उनको resources, I'm not saying आप उनको direct book दे दो, but if you are giving, starting with at least case study questions, which CBSE has already started, but in boards. So slowly and gradually we are taking into senior classes. It would be a good idea if we can use these things in lower grades as well. It will help a lot wherein you can understand a children's ability to use and process the information. You will see again and again the word process is coming, because that's very important. The product won't matter, process will definitely matter. And there are oral tests, practical tests, written tests, and then there are subtypes to it. These are very basic, so I won't spend much of my time into going these things. But yes, one thing that I would like to suggest is, for testing, since we are living in a digital era as well, and students are using technology in a completely different manner these days. So basically in science, this is a very good example for all the science subjects as well, and obviously in mathematics. You can ask your students to prepare infographics, to prepare mind maps, how they are connecting. There are ample of digital apps for free, web-based apps wherein they can just start working. They have to, the templates are already available over there. They have to just connect the dots, how they are working, and we get to know a lot about a student's performance, how they are connecting all these topics. Like, let's say, to give you an example, whenever we talk about addition, we always talk about place value. It's not even possible to perform addition correctly if we don't know place values. So why don't we give students a project wherein they have to connect place values and addition together? They can develop a mind map, they can even draw. If you feel that the students are really small to use technology, you can ask them to draw in the form of flowchart and see what they are drawing, and then slowly and gradually as they move up, it can be converted into mind maps or infographics. Now, this is one of the sample assessment which I wanted to present in front of you. This is what I practice. These are purely my assessment. I provide these assessments to the school. The topics that I pick, are completely from NCERT, but are not at all textbookish. They are not the questions which I have directly picked from the textbook. The concept is purely from NCERT. Now you can see this is a grade 5 topic. How many squares? Grade 5 का ये NCERT book का topic है. How many square? Now you can see cognitive, psychomotor और affective में how I have worked. कॉग्निटिव में आई हैवंट आस्क्ड देम कि आप इसमें आप अगर देखो तो आपको कोई भी डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन नहीं दिखाई देगा एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी कैन टेस्ट द प्रोसेस नॉट द प्रोडक्ट. व्हाट इज पेरीमीटर? डिफाइन इट एंड गिव 2 एग्जांपल्स. अगर बच्चे को पेरीमीटर सॉल्व करना आता है, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट फॉर्मूला, बट उसको अगर सच में पेरीमीटर पता है कि क्या होता है, शी कैन राइट इट और उसको 2 एग्जांपल्स देने. Moving further, if the area of a square is given to you, how can you find the area of triangle? अगर एरिया आपको स्क्वायर का गिवन है और मैंने उसको 2 पार्ट में डिवाइड कर दिया है, तो आप ट्राइंगल का एरिया कैसे निकाल सकते हो? ऑब्वियसली वो हाफ होगा. सो इसमें आप देखिए सारे जो क्वेश्चंस मैंने दिए हैं, दे आर मोर और लेस concept building or reinforcing, but they are not at all textbookish question. Moving further to psychomotor, in the picture shown below, complete 2 lines. This is the question that I have directly put from NCERT, जहां पे आपको पिक्चर पूरी कंप्लीट करनी है. Then on the grid shown below, draw 3 different irregular shapes to get the area of each figure as 5 square centimeter. The side of each small square is 1 square centimeter. So they have to think, then they have to draw the shapes. Again, there was some part of tessellation in this as well. So I gave them 3 figures and they have to just pick which figure is tessellated, which figure is not tessellated. So you can see if the child is able to understand what is tessellation, then only they will be able to answer which figure is tessellated here, which is not tessellated here. Now, affective part is something which is really very interesting. I always show a TED Ed video to my students whenever I teach the topic of tessellation on honeybee. How honeybee thought of hexagonal honeycomb. If you know, honeybees store their honey in hexagonal shape comb. So I have given them a affective question. A honeybee worker produces 1/12th of a teaspoon of honey in his entire life. Knowing this fact, how do you feel and what are the steps that you can take to save honey? इसमें अगर आप देखिए तो सबसे पहले जो बच्चे को आइडिया होना चाहिए दैट इज 1/12 टीस्पून का मतलब क्या हुआ. उसके बाद दे कैन कनेक्ट की सच ए स्मॉल क्वांटिटी जो बी अपनी पूरी लाइफ में बना पाती है, तो उनको कैसा लग रहा है. दे हैव टू टेल अ स्टोरी. So in grade 1 and 2, what I practice is I always tell them that I always tell the teachers when I have provided the assessment to them, I always tell them you can take a oral test. After taking the permission from the principal, they can always take the oral test because we used to also give oral test and there is no problem in oral test. That's a form of assessment. And the teacher can fill the rubric. The rubric is provided below. What are the communication, what is the creativity and innovativity, because they are telling you story and children are great storyteller. So this is the entire sample assessment which I am working on with several schools, wherein I am providing them the lesson plans as well as the assessments. Book is NCERT, but they are not the textbookish question. These are the assessment for holistic development. Now, if I move further, feedback. This is again very important, and as my topic is assessment and feedback in mathematics, I touched upon one thing as well, that when I say feedback, I don't mean very good or excellent. What I mean is, first, engaging in interactive dialogue. You can interact with the students. Next is dialogue in writing. You can give an elaborated remark. Collaboration and group work. When I say collaboration and group work, we already discussed assessment as learning. And then peer and self-assessment. The student can assess themselves where they went wrong, how they can improve. So if we are providing feedback in these 4 manner, which is a constructive feedback, I think students will definitely improve. And as teachers, we can improve our lesson plans as well. Now, this is rubric for assessment that I was talking about. There is an app, Rubric Scorer app. Might be a possibility. Many of you have seen this app. I'll just quickly show you the demo of this app as well. I've put a screenshot as well, and I will show you how this app works. So just allow me a minute. I'll just share my screen for the rubric part. Preeti ma'am, if you can confirm my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Perfect. So when you will open Rubric Scorer app, it's available on Android as well as on iOS. When you will open it, you will see a rubric will come in front of you. You can modify it. There are ample of features, and the free version is really good. It allows you, I guess, 10 to 20 classes, and then you have to take the paid version. So if you feel this is a good app, you can buy the subscription as well. I found it really very handy. Here you can see I have written three names random. Divyanshi Dhawan, Mehak Kapoor, and Ishika Seth. These are just the random names. This is the class. This is class 1. I can create more classes, class 2, class 3, class 4, and so on. So let's say this is the rubric that I have created. You can see display leadership behavior, meets expectation, below expectation, and missing or serious problems. All these terms are editable. If you want, you can edit them. Now here, let's say you took any test. Active participation, relevance to topic, level of preparation, and listening cooperation. This is the rubric that has been prepared. I have given the weightage. If you want, you can change the weightage. Let's say active participation को आपने 25% दे दिया, relevance of topic को आपने 25% दे दिया, and so on. Whichever manner you want to move on. All you need to do is, let's say I am giving these points to this student, Kapoor में है. Let's say this. You can see grade अपने आप यहाँ पे लिख के आ गया, percentage अपने आप लिख के आ गया. B minus 81.2. As I will change, it will keep on changing. D plus 68.8. This can also be modified. You can see if you want, you can keep on grade scale. If you want, आप grade scale मत रखिए. मिनिमम परसेंटेज अगर आप रखना चाहते हैं 50% वहां शो करना चाहते हैं आप कर सकते हैं, आप नहीं करना चाहते हैं आप मत करिए. देन स्कोर रेंज भी इसमें चेंज करने का ऑप्शन है. 70% एंड अबव ग्रीन हो गया, 50 to 70 में येलो है, एंड देन बिलो 50 रेड है. whichever way you want to go, you can. So all the options are available out here. Then the best part that I found over here is once you have graded this, once you have graded this child, you can just go to the PDF and you can go to the mail, and if you want, you can directly mail the rubric that you have assessed to the student or the student and the guardian. Because I have filled the details already. When you will fill the details, the computer will ask you for the email ID, class, basic information of the student, and they will ask for guardian email as well. So you can put it over there and you can mail it. I tried this. I got a mail in the form of PDF. So Rubric Scorer is the app which I really found helpful, and you can just keep on adding the comments as well with whatever comment you want to write. So this is what I was talking about, engaging in because when you are going to provide them or you are going to engage in an interactive dialogue, then only it will be possible for students to assess themselves or for peer learning. If you haven't, as teachers, if we haven't provided them elaborated feedback, how can the children assess themselves? They will always feel that whatever I have done is absolutely fine. So this is an app which I really found helpful. So I thought that I will share it with all of you. And I think that marks the end of my presentation. And I think that marks the end of my presentation. All the references I have listed, everything. And then these are my details. If any one of you want to get in touch, please feel free to get in touch with me. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Preeti ma'am, for having me. And the stage is open for question and answer.
Thank you, ma'am. We will now open the floor for Q&A round. The chat box is open. Please type your questions related to this session, any queries that you have, so that Ms. Dhawan can address them. Audience, if you have any questions related to the session, kindly post it in the chat box. We'll take up your queries. Now we have a question. Can you give one example of infographic assessment?
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to mention that infographic is not a assessment. Infographic is a technique, it's a visual representation of anything. Like we used to have flowchart. Here, when we are talking about infographics, as the name is infographic, so there is a graphical representation, and infographics means that you are presenting the information in a graphical representation. I would, since I don't have anything handy as of now, what you can do is you can visit YouTube, or you can just share your contact details with me. I can share you few of the infographics with you, how you can create it. Everything is available on YouTube as well. You can visit Canva. You can take a free session of Canva as well. It's available online. It's just how you are going to connect all the information. So I need to understand that what is the information that you would like to represent graphically. But yes, that's not a assessment. There is no infographic assessment as such. I'm writing my email ID. If any one of you want to get in touch, you can.
Audience, if you have any more questions, you can post your questions in the chat box, and we'll be happy to take up those. Infographic assessment. Ma'am has already answered to that.
And I think all of them are just asking for the contact details. They don't have any question, just the contact details.
Okay.
I think there is one question.
Yeah. What kind of assessment apart from pen paper test can be conducted in middle school?
So, ma'am, when we talk about middle school, as I said, apart from pen paper assessment, you can go ahead with portfolio assessment. When I say portfolio assessment or project assessment, there is a topic that you have provided them, and they have to study that particular topic instead of writing the answers. Like, let's say portfolio assessment, if I give you an example, and you're talking about middle school, so let's take a topic of ratio and proportion, which is a very common concept and very important concept as well in middle school. So if we are talking about ratio and proportion, you can ask them, today I am acting as a student, you are acting as a teacher, how you will teach me ratio and proportion. I'm not asking you that you should ask them to explain or expect from them to explain the concept correctly. What I'm asking you is just the process, how they are going to move further. What is the step 1, what is the step 2, what is the step 3, and what is the step 4? So that can be one kind of assessment which can be taken into middle school. Another thing that I mentioned, apart from pen and paper, you can go ahead with playway learning. ratio and proportion, I provide so many activities using which the child can be assessed in the playground. While you are playing, you can assess your children. So it's not always that when we are talking about test, we should take the session in the classroom only. So we can move out of the classroom and then we can take the session as well. So that will be my answer. I think there was one question again.
We have, yes,
What
one
was
question. How can we make assessments for prove that questions for ninth and 10th standard?
So, for me, the answer to this question will be, do we even need these type of questions now? Where we are going to use that, prove that? Because what is happening, see, there you must have heard about inductive and deductive method. So if we are talking about inductive method, or if we are talking about deductive method, and if we are taking these methods in our classroom, I think it's very easy for everyone that in the assessment, at least, we don't need these type of questions prove that. Because are we going to use these questions in our real life? No. Are the school authority is asking you to give the question prove that? So to be honest, if you ask me, I don't think so in assessment these type of questions should be given. Prove that, or a direct formula based question. I showed you one of the concept as well. So I think these type of questions, as much as you can, should be avoided, because there is no methodology in these type of things that you can answer these questions to give options of various kinds to provide the answer to these questions. So yeah.
Okay, ma'am, we have another one. What type of projects we should give to UKG standard 1, 2 students by which they can gain knowledge of the chapter without knowing actually, they are only knowing that are allowed to
I
participate in
understood. Yeah, I understood. So I'll tell you, since they are talking about standard 1 or 2, so we start with shapes, 2D shapes, 3D shapes. These are the basic concepts that we focus on. Now, let's say you have, and in junior classes, I have seen this, that schools nowadays are really very creative, and they have a lot of stuff. Like there are stuffed toys, there are so many games and everything. So what happened is, whenever you want, let's say I take an example of near and far. So since you're talking about activity, you just ask them, we are going to study, or you don't tell them that you are going to study near or far. You just ask them that today, when you will go back home, arrange all your toys and give them numbers 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, or give them letters A B C D, anything, whatever they want. And then stand at one point and then tell me which object is closest to you, which object is far away from you. So what will happen, they will learn the concept because they are arranging. Then if the mother is helping, father is helping, sister, whoever is helping them, this activity can be done in the classroom as well. The teacher can try to move the objects, like let's say they switched two toys, then which one is far, which one is near. So that is one activity which you can give. Second, that can be done when I'm talking about shapes. One thing that comes in my mind always is, since I'm a foodie as well, one thing that always comes in my mind, let's say I have to ask you, I'm learning shapes, uh, square, let's say. What is the real life example of square? One thing that always comes in my mind is cheese slice. If you will look at Amul cheese slice, that's always a square. So why not just show cheese slice, or show the wrapper of a cheese slice to the student, and then ask them which shape is this? Or showing them a nachos or mad angle, whatever it is, bingo, they are always triangular in shape. Sometimes they are equilateral triangle, and trust me, I have measured it using ruler. Sometimes they are equilateral triangles, sometimes they are isosceles, sometimes they are scalene. So I think these kinds of activities can be given to the students. I'm getting one question again and again, what is infographics assessment? I think already I have answered
It's
this
already
question.
being explained, yes. You can refer to the video, to the YouTube video once again. Um, okay.
Yes, Shalini ma'am, you're absolutely right. They will learn English language expression. They will also learn ordinal numbers, positioning numbers. So you can see using one activity how a children can learn multiple concepts, which obviously is not possible in traditional learning when we are focusing on pen and paper method. So when we are giving them some tools to play with, it is a definite possibility that they will learn something else from the concept that we wanted to teach.
All right, ma'am. I guess we have answered to all the questions. Uh, Thank you so much, ma'am, for this incredibly insightful and informative session. Your innovative approach to assessments and feedback has provided us with valuable strategies that we can all implement in our classrooms. A big thank you to all the participants for your engagement and thoughtful questions. Your dedication to improving math education is truly inspiring. And we hope you found this session as enlightening as we did. Uh, Thank you so much, ma'am. This concludes another enriching session of our Math Summit. We have more exciting and informative sessions scheduled for tomorrow. So be sure to join us. And don't forget to participate in the quiz after the final session tomorrow for a chance to win Amazon vouchers worth rupees 50,000. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. Keep up the fantastic work, and we look forward to seeing you in the next session. Until then, continue to inspire and support the young learners in your lives. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Divyachi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being an amazing participants. Thanks a lot, Preeti, for having me.